Greetings, brothers and sisters. So this is the movie Penelope. Was somehow exhumed on one of the movie channels I have on Dish TV. And I saw this movie years ago. There's so many movies I barely remembered the plot line and storyline. And so I don't know when this movie came out or when I saw it. But I remembered that she had gone outside wearing a scarf over her face, which back then, in the 90s or the early 2000s, was obviously not as big a deal as it is now. I like watching old movies that I haven't seen in years. Like I'll fast forward through them, because a lot of them suck. But I like watching them now because my consciousness has changed and the collective consciousness has changed. There are events that have unfolded, and you can often find things in these movies that have foreshadowed these events. And this obviously, is foreshadowing something that's going on right now. And so there's a very interesting scene here. She has been cursed. She has a nose that looks like a pig's nose, and she can only be cured of the curse if some guy in her class, her upper class, marries her. And she ends up escaping her parents who are, the problem. And her parents are looking for her, and they see her on the street, and they start chasing her. And she's wearing this scarf-like thing. They're her parents, who are, older, right? And they're chasing her down. She runs into this bar that she's been frequenting.
Oh, great. You're here. It's your turn.
And she's out of breath from running, and, this scarf-like thing.
Friday night, I'll buy. Oh, my God.
And she passes out. She passes out because, when you're wearing something on your face and it makes it harder to breathe and you run, they documented something here, just makes common sense. This isn't some flaw in the plot line, that it's actually easier to breathe when you have a scarf wrapped around your face, that you're going to breathe in your own carbon dioxide and maybe hyperventilate or not get enough oxygen or whatever it is, because wearing something on your face, like a scarf or something, like a piece of cloth over your face and running, causes problems, possibly.
Somebody get the scarf off her. She can't breathe. No!
What was that? I don't believe you. That scarves are actually better for you. And her parents, who are, older, who have been chasing her and running, they're perfectly fine. But this woman says something that doesn't make any scientific sense at all.
Somebody get the scarf off her. She can't breathe. No! Somebody get the scarf off her. She can't breathe. No! Somebody get the scarf off her. She can't breathe. No!
Don't put the scarf on her. It's more important that she covers up her scarred, her cursed face than it is that she's able to breathe, because, that's what's important. Like mothers know, right? And, I don't see how that scarf is affecting her ability to breathe.
No!
And she can breathe finally. So this is, again, I should check out when this movie, it's probably right in the description. It's on YouTube Movies. It's from 2013. And so, 8 years ago. And 8 years ago, they talked about something that's very prevalent now. There's a lot of other symbolism in this movie, which I'm not going to cover here because, who cares? Speaking of symbolism, Lil Nas X trolls right-wingers with mocking apology video for his new Satan shoes. And this is where he's just gaming the people on the right. I mean, think about what's being said here. The rapper's new sneakers that feature a pentagram and a drop of human blood triggered conservatives. Just conservatives. Everyone else is cool. Everyone else is, yeah, this is great. No problems here. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about the lap dance for Satan and the shoes with a drop of human blood and 666 and a pentagram. that he is targeting children with, because that's his desired audience. If you saw my other video yesterday, where he gave an NPR interview, and he literally said that he targeted kids in so many different ways. It was a marketing strategy, and this is a marketing strategy. His lap dance for Satan was a marketing strategy. He knew it was going to provoke the right, so he knew this was going to cause a problem, right? He knew that this was going to trigger people on the right, and the right wing got triggered, people in the truth community got triggered, which always happens, and now those people are looking bad, right? Those are the people that are being blamed, because that's how everything works now. The people on the left, the media, Huffington Post here, it's completely fine. And they said, we've decided to drop these to even the score. Damn, you all happy now? And like he's just working this angle. His music sucks. His, cowboy song was a little bit catchy, but, it got old really quickly. And he said even he said in his holiday song, I covered this yesterday, there was this PBS, interview that he gave, and he admitted that he's been targeting kids, right? All this stuff that he said. And he says this, man, I snuck into the game, came in on a horse, I pulled a gimmick, I admit it, I have no remorse. That he made this cheesy cowboy song so that he could show his real stuff after, him, and it's just, degraded lyrics here. And then he says, I'm bad as Michael Jackson, which, what is that admitting to, right? We know what Michael Jackson's all about. And so this is a guy working. This is somebody who realizes, or his team realizes, they can pretty much get away with anything. Here's this thing, right-wing watch, right-wing pastor Greg Locke is not a fan of Lil Nas X. Apologies for the quality of the video. The live stream of Locke's service today was glitchy, so they're trolling him, and they're looking at this as the right-wingers are having a problem. This is the video. It's been age-restricted. You can see this is the shoe with the pentagram on it, right, with the blood in it. It's got a, inverted cross here, and it is selling for $1,018 because, using Satan in your merch is expensive. You need $1,000 markup on these things. $18 is $666. They're going to sell. He's marketing this to kids. And now he's made this video.
Okay, guys, I see everybody's been talking about this shoe, and I just want to come forward and say...
And so then he shows the lap dance of Satan again. Lil Nas X apologizes for Satan's shoe is the title of the video. And he's gotten another 2,600,000 views on this, and that's going to grow. This one has 31 million views. And he's just trying to provoke people on the right because his music sucks. He's not, talented as a rapper or singer. No one's going to look at this song. Here's another video. Trending number 26 on YouTube Trends. Montanero, but in your bathroom of hell while Lil Nas is giving Satan a lap dance in the other room. And that's got another 700,000 views. And so he's like, it's shameless, aside from the immorality and degrading kids and all of it. It's shameless the way he's promoting this thing and milking the controversy as much as possible. Because the song sucks. No one's going to play this song in 10 years and say, oh, yeah, that's my jam, right? No one's going to play that, in the future and say, oh, wow, remember that great song? The song sucks. Madonna did this, Madam Expiration Date. Lady Gaga did this, where they created controversy. They provoked the right to gain publicity, and you no longer have the ability, the conservative coalition, the Christians that used to be able to shut people down and cancel people, you no longer have that power. Businesses don't listen to you. The government doesn't listen to you. In fact, the way this is being framed by the media is you're overreacting. Everybody who has a problem with this is overreacting. That's why I say, don't get emotional about this stuff, because the culture has gone over to the dark side. It's gone over to immorality. I mean, I've seen this happen in my lifetime, where it used to be rock music, heavy metal music, which was devil worshiping and throwing up the Devil's Horns and Kiss and all those, I mean, Kiss was a poser band, but you have all these different rock bands that promoted devil worshiping. And now it's some pop culture, crappy, lightweight, rapper that just is using this stuff as a way to, promote himself. And nobody has a problem with it anymore. That featured a pentagram and a drop of human blood triggered conservatives. Well, why isn't anybody else triggered? And so if you have the power, if you have the leverage to do something about this and cancel this guy, he's not being canceled. He's being celebrated. This video is going to win awards, and they know it's provoking you. They know it's provoking Trump supporters. They know these things. They, hate you now, and they think that they can, you're being canceled and you have no power and leverage anymore. They don't care about your opinion. Marketing people don't care about your opinion. Businesses don't care about your opinion. They don't care you're upset. In fact, they are relishing that you're upset. And so, just don't watch it, right? Or use some sort of economic weapon and start boycotting people. Like, go boycott. I mean, Nike is even distancing themselves from this. Nike denies involvement with Lil Nas X Satan shoes. And so, even Nike is denying that they have any part in this thing. But, it still doesn't matter, right? I mean, Nike isn't going to lose any sales, even if they were a part of this thing. Maybe some Christian families wouldn't. I guess that's why they're distancing themselves. But there's no longer any leverage on the right. There's no longer any leverage from the Christian coalition. Things that when I grew up, think about what this would have been 20 years ago. And so, all those things are gone. The culture has gone to a complete debauched, immoral culture. We've seen it. And they don't care about your opinion and your buying power and who you vote for, any of these things. I mean, it says it right here. Because why isn't everybody triggered? Everybody's saying this is a conservative problem, right? I mean, look at this mass stuff over here. This is where we are in 2021. So if you have leverage as a group, if you have the power to do something, then do something. Otherwise, stop feeding into this. Because, anybody watching this would say, this is a good way to get attention. And this is what Madam Expiration Date sort of invented, this shock value in her crappy music. She didn't have to put out quality music. She just had to do something shocking in a video, and it would get all this attention and controversy, and that's what they want. This is what he obviously wants. This was his marketing team wants. And if you think about the little things that people are getting canceled for and what this guy has done to kids, it's, it's brutal. Like, I've made a couple of videos about this already. And so people in the truth community and people in the right wing have to realize either have leverage or you don't. Otherwise, why go on the internet and whine about it, right? You have some ability to do something about this or you don't. And right now, I haven't seen anything that demonstrates that you have the ability to cancel this guy or, this is just making him more money and it's benefiting him on every possible level. And there's going to be other people doing the same thing. He's just going to be doing more as he moves forward. And that's, that's how it is in 2021. It's degraded. Again, like go inside, connect to God, have this information feed back to God. The change is coming, right? The system has to collapse. You see the way the system is going. This is what I've been saying all along. The system is going in a direction where it has no choice but to collapse. People are getting farther and farther away from God. This is why the heartfulness meditation is available. This is why it's here at this time to help reverse this trend, to reverse what's happening here. Because, your religion didn't do it. Your religion has been, all the religions have been, denutted, and they've become materialistic. They've become, they have their own merch and their own, power, their own economic power, religious power, but they're not connecting people to God. People are getting more and more degraded and more immoral because they don't have any real connection with God. They have books and they have, whatever it is, religions that act as some sort of, marketing scheme in terms of profiting off of them claiming they have the exclusive access to God. Religions have failed. And so there is a system, the Heartfulness Meditation, to connect people internally and get people back on track where this kind of thing will disappear, right? But only after the economic system collapses, because the economic system is demonic in nature. So I'm about to edit this video, and when I do the screen grab, right, when I do the original raw screen grab, I have to wait for it to render. And so I check my messages, and one of my viewers sent me this, a link to this interview that Lil Nas X does. And you can see he's wearing a monarch butterfly. And so we know there's a monarch mind control program, MK mind control program, which was declassified by the government. You know, and a monarch butterfly is a beautiful butterfly. It's not that the butterfly is evil, and the butterfly is a great metaphor for metamorphosis, where you go from being a worm to a butterfly, right? A caterpillar, which is a lower developed creature, to a butterfly that flies, and, you know, and so it's a great metaphor for spiritual evolution. But in terms of the mind control programs, it's one of them, and it's very popular imagery. So in terms of Lil Nas X, he's wearing this monarch butterfly, which has symbolism, and he's going on this dude's YouTube channel, and they're reviewing his video. The guy's seeing his video for the first time, and he ends up saying this.
The minute.
I'm having my Illuminati moment.
Yes, oh, we're confirmed. Is it confirmed?
Then he says it again here.
My Illuminati moment.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Are you in the social, is the society that you can tell me about here? What's happening?
This guy really likes the video, by the way, and he's really excited about all the things, including now the most exciting moment, the lap dance for Satan. That's the part of the video they're reviewing right now. And while wearing a monarch butterfly, he says he has his Illuminati moment as he does this lap dance with Satan. And the other dude says, if you join some sort of society here. So all those things are being said. You could say they're joking around or not, but you know.
Oh my God, you giving Lucifer a whole lap dance.
You see, our
That guy's actually pretty funny. He's really excited about him giving Lucifer a lap dance, you know, because it's exciting.
they're gonna already, you know, like demonize me. So it's like, let's go there. We beat you to the punch.
Honey.
When they hear the song and they hear what it's about, they're going to demonize him. So he's just doing it for them, right? That's his excuse.
And everybody kind of stepped on eggshells with religion ever since then. And yo ass and came back out and said, actually, I'll give Lucifer a lap dance. Huh.
So in this interview, or whatever they're doing here, this review of the video, he admits that he knew that people on the right and conspiracy theorists, or whatever you want to call them, right? People, they mentioned the Illuminati, and he knew it was going to be this, right? He knew there was going to be a reaction. Instead of walking on eggshells, he went right for it. He said this is what the song was about, so he was going to go for it.
Iconic! Iconic! This is over hell. Wow, so it's like, if you think I belong in hell, bitch, then I'm going to rule hell, girl. How about that?
It's like, if that's where we belong, then let me be the king of that.
That's iconic.
And so there was more of an explanation here. I can't use all of this, but in terms of the video and copyright things. But what their explanation was, both of these guys who identify as being gay, said they grew up in black churches where they were shamed and told they were going to hell because they were gay. And we all know that Christianity does that. And so that's a real thing, right? People who don't fit in, and especially gay people who go to Christian churches, and not all Christian churches, obviously. There are a variety of different churches. Some of them are less on the fire and brimstone side of things. But these two guys said they went to these churches when they were kids with their families, and they were told they were going to hell. Like, they didn't admit to what they were inside, but they heard what was said about gay people in the church. And so what Nas X said was, well, since he was going to go to hell anyway, he was going to rule hell. Like, that's what he was putting out in the video. He is saying that if he's going to hell, he's going to be the king of hell. Like, that's what the video for him is about. That's part of it. Also, he knew this was going to provoke people. He knew it was going to be controversial. They talk about The other guy talks about Katy Perry, one of Katy Perry's videos, and how this took it to another level. And it's a well-known fact, within the music industry. If you sensationalize things and you provoke the right and you could provoke people in the truth community, it will bring more attention to your video. And that's, we've seen that borne out. And, all this stuff about the Illuminati, all the things in this video. And he talked about Adam and Eve in the beginning of the video with the serpent and all these things that he did in the beginning of the video, and doing the pole dancing and descending down to hell, all these things. But the problem with this is, right, if you say, all right, there's a legitimate issue here, that people in the Christian community, there's Christian people, not all of them, obviously, that will tell you you're going to hell. I get told all the time, because of doing the heartfulness meditation, I get comments all the time where people say, I'm going to hell. Because there's remedial people that aren't capable of abstract thought that do religion, and they just know the fear and the shame and the negative things, right? Because religions, this is part of the Heartfulness Meditation's teaching, Reality at Dawn, this book written by the second master of the system, Babaji, talked about how religions have two weapons that they use, fear and temptation. They scare you into believing you're going to a bad place like hell, and they tempt you by saying, if you do our whatever it is, if you submit to our authority, we're going to bring you to a good place, heaven, or, like this 70 virgins and a mule, and, these various religions, you hear people believing this stuff. Shame and fear work, right? Shame and fear will make people do things because fear is fear motivates you. And shame and guilt things are ways to control people, but it doesn't cultivate a positive relationship with God. You don't have a positive relationship with God by using shame and fear, and it creates a rebellion. And so if you're a religious person and you're using shame and fear with your kids, it doesn't work. It's going to cause a problem down the road. It's already caused a problem because you see the religions are collapsing. Christianity is collapsing right now because of some of these heavy-handed tactics that don't work. It doesn't cultivate a relationship with God. I mean, the heartfulness system focuses on the heart because cleaning the heart and then having the heart experience transmission, which is given this divine energy, God's love. If you experience God's love, you will bond to God. You'll have a deep relationship with God based in love, right? If you have a marriage based in shame and guilt and gaslighting, that marriage is going to suck. If it's based in love, it's something superior. It's just something incredible, right? Anything based in love is ennobled, right? It goes to a higher level of consciousness. And if you're a religious person and you're saying, this person's going to hell, that person's going to hell, you don't know. It's not up to you. You should just shut up, right? Like, you don't know. I don't know. You don't know. Like, you can think you know, but that's just some rigid way, how do you know you're not going to hell? Like, you think you're going to hell because you were promised something by an organization that showed time and time again that it's not what it says it is, right? A religion that doesn't, measure up. And so judging other people doesn't work. And just because you say it doesn't make it true. And so, each person, one of the great things of the Heartfulness Meditation is that each person has to connect to God directly and figure out what they're doing wrong and what they're doing right and what God wants them to do. And then you're getting it directly from the source, directly from God. And that's a much superior and higher level thing, right? It's the best thing. And so instead of a religious authority or other people shaming you and telling you what you're doing is wrong, you look inside yourself and you're like, yeah, I shouldn't do this. It's wrong. And the problem with this solution, these guys went through this problem, they went through this negative experience with their churches and being shamed and people telling them they're going to hell. He's literally embracing this idea in the video. He's bringing that idea to life. He's acting out going to hell and being the king of hell and all these things, which is the worst possible reaction. When people say to me, I'm going to hell because I'm doing the heartfulness system or whatever reason, I'm like, you're messed up. Like, I'm not believing you. I know that you're like, I might mock them, But usually I just, move on to something else. I don't let it bother me. I get told every day, and so do so many of you, that everything I'm thinking is wrong. We get labeled crazy conspiracy theorists. We get labeled whatever it is, right? You Trump supporters get labeled, racist and all these things. People are telling you all the time what a piece of crap you are because of your beliefs. People who believe in alternative narratives, not endorsed by the mainstream system, we get told every day we're wrong. I get told every day that I'm wrong in the comment section by other truthers or this person. Oh, you got that wrong. Oh, you don't know this. Oh, why, you don't agree with me. You're wrong, right? I went through all these variations because there's a new belief system that enters the truth community with flat earthers and then QBs. And now it's no, you didn't really have COVID. People telling me I don't know the difference between the flu and COVID in my experience of having it. Like I was sick and I just had a common cold because they believe that COVID doesn't exist, which is fine. I don't care if you believe COVID exists or not. That doesn't bother me. I don't care what you believe. Just don't tell me, that I don't know the difference, right? I mean, the arrogance there. And you see this over and over again. And if they got COVID, they had a moderate case, they would completely know that they had been full of crap before. I mean, it just, once you have it, you're like, oh, there's nothing like this thing. But right now, they're just so sure of themselves, and that's humanity. Like it's more the case that people are like that than not. So if you're going to be out in the public, that's what you're going to get all the time. If you don't find a way to deal with it, it's going to eat you alive. If you don't find a way to deal with other people sucking, it's going to eat you alive, right? I mean, one of the things that I've been able to do is that I don't let other people sucking get to me, right? I don't let it bother me. I can separate their sucking from whatever they're saying to me, and that's on them. Like they're just displaying their sucking. Like it isn't valid criticism. It isn't like they've been able to see flaws in me or anybody else. It's about them sucking, about their butthurtness, about their inability to, their poor social skills and all the rest of it. And so I just, all right, that's you sucking. You're just displaying your sucking. I ban them and move on. And so you have to develop a internalized relationship with God. I get this as well from people in the heartfulness system. I get so much, I went through this thing with my ex where she said all these things and pretty much everyone believed them about what a horrible person I was. And so I went through that like on a very, it was a blessing in so many ways because I, went in and I looked at what I did wrong, what I did right and things like this. And I connected to God and God showed me. It showed me isn't, it's not a visual thing. It was a heart-based thing. Like I felt, all right, this is what you did right. This is, I mean, I'm not, I know I'm not perfect. We all are. And you just, you change what you can change. Sometimes you have to need imperfections to do your job or do whatever work you have to do. But I just, I went through it and I confronted, the negative things and whatever. And I realized that all these people who were talking were just full of shit, right? They were just, I mean, there's so many people that think they know you, or they think, they see a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and they think they know something. They don't. And, it's helped me in so many ways because I've been able to see through other people's BS, right? When they're saying negative things to me, and it really doesn't affect me, at least as far as I can tell. And I just keep on doing what I'm doing. I make sure that I'm always checking in. And when you meditate, you have to look inside. And if something bothers you and you feel like you did something wrong and it lingers, then you correct it and you move on. You correct it in yourself. You change whatever is inside of you. If you're feeling hate, you're feeling anger, you're feeling fear, then you get rid of it. That's, again, one of the brilliant things of the heartfulness system. There's ways to get rid of undesirable things that are inside of you that are manifesting in the outside world. And so if people are telling you what you're doing is wrong, either they're right or they're wrong. And you have to figure that out. And at some point, you have to, either change or realize that the other people are full of BS and you have to, ignore them and just live your life. But by embracing it and becoming the king of hell, when you've cultivated an audience of young children, it's the worst possible thing. And he's using this as shock value to promote his brand. So he's embracing Satanism. And he might not believe in Satan, whatever he'll tell you, whatever the people around him will tell you what this is about. He's still acting this out. And so on some level, it's true that he is the king of hell. And because he's saying it, right? He said he was the king of hell. I'm not saying it, but he's saying it in this video. He services Satan with a lap dance, kills Satan, and takes on his horns. And he said this is his Illuminati moment. That's what he's defining it as. He's embraced the evil. He's admitting this. Like, he knows all this stuff is evil, and he's embracing it. He's not looking at the churches he went to that shamed him for being gay when he was a kid. He's not looking at that and saying, you guys are full of S, I'm fine, I'm a good person. You guys, are wrong. You guys are full of evil. He's embracing what they told him, and he's endorsing it, and he's, so much so that he's created this video where he is manifesting the stuff that they told him and labeled him as when he was younger. Speaking of demonic in nature, Piers Morgan says Meghan Markle was treated no worse than Princess Diana. Piers Morgan insisted that Meghan Markle's has received no worse treatment than the press than Princess Diana and other royals, after she suggested that the racism that she has endured made her experience incomparable. Meghan's had no worse treatment than other royal brides such as Diana, Fergie, Kate, Camilla, or even the monarchy-rattling American divorcee Wallis Simpson. Well, I think maybe she was treated a little bit worse, but you can't compare. Diana was, maybe by the press Diana was celebrated, but she's dead now. She was, she was bulimic and all these things. And so Piers Morgan continues to suck, but he'll bounce back because it's just like the same with Nas X. They don't punish people for sucking anymore. In fact, sucking is a good thing. If you suck, you're able to maintain your job. That's where we are as a culture, where sucking is rewarded. The moral degradation that we see now, you can see which way things have been going for quite some time. And, there's always been problems. You can say that there was less moral degradation years ago, but it was what happened behind closed doors. It just wasn't as public. It wasn't out there. The stuff still existed. It was just repressed, right? You have this with the royal family. You have not just the royal family, but all these elite people in these various countries, the elite level people who were very prim and proper and had etiquette in front of the cameras, in front of people, in front of, everyone else. But in terms of what happened behind closed doors was the worst type of deviant behavior. And so you see that now it's just coming to the surface, and that everything's trending in that direction where everything's becoming okay. All the negative things that bring down a society, all the indulgences, all the deviant behaviors that bring down a person, that bring down a family, that bring down a race, right? The human race, and bring down a world, is happening more and more. It's trending in that direction. And there's no fighting it. It's just whatever. You can fight it within yourself. You can not engage and have your own level of character, your own level of behaviors, lines you won't cross. But the degradation is upon us. There's, it's trending in that way. You can see the way that it's going. And it's just going to go that way until the system collapses. The system, more than any other reason, will collapse from moral depravity and the kind of people it's creating. It is a sort of a loop, right, where people are getting more degraded, and then the system gets more degraded, which encourages people to get more degraded. You understand this? It's going in that direction. And there's no rules. There's no decency. This Lil Nas X, the worst thing about this is he cultivated a relationship with kids and their parents as his fan base, and then he dropped this really, crossing the line video. But it's just the most offensive thing now, right? There'll be something in 6 months or 2 months or a year that'll be more offensive. You understand this? More satanic. And so you got to understand which way the wind is blowing, and it's blowing towards, there's only one option here, and that is the civilization collapses. I mean, this was back in the 1950s. Babaji, the second master of the system, said that this was going to happen. It was, the need for the system, the current system, to collapse and rebuild something better, with a deeper connection to God. And that we were going to have to go through this, and it was going to get worse and worse and worse until it just disappears altogether. The system will collapse because of its effect on human beings, and human beings creating a system that's more and more depraved, because that's what's inside of everybody. People are more and more depraved, so the system is more and more depraved, and there's no decency, right? And, you should aspire to be more than decent. Like they said, Joe Biden is decent, and he clearly isn't, And so all of these things, if you had any morality, any moral compass, you wouldn't do these things. People wouldn't do these things. They wouldn't promote these things. But people don't, right? People don't have these things inside of them. And they're like, why shouldn't we do these things? They have no sense of God, no sense of a soul, no sense of, anything inside of them that would stop them from engaging in all these behaviors and activities. And so it's just lying and degradation and illusions and all these things. It's just, an abomination of, it's, the realization of the worst part of human beings. The egotistical, selfish, entitled, indulgent, pleasuring themselves human beings. And it's just going to go in this direction. I mean, I know it from, I believe in the heartfulness teachings. Everyone has to have their own, your thing that you like, all right, I believe in this, right? I really believe in this, and I'm going to go for it, right? I'm going to go all in on this. And I've gone all in on heartfulness. If it's wrong, it's wrong. But at some point, you have to make a stand, right? You have to choose something and say, all right, this is what I believe is going to make things better. This is leading me in the direction I want to go. And the transmission, the cleaning of the heartfulness system has proven itself to me. The masters of the system, the teachings of the system have all proven it themselves to me over and over again. And so, I believe in it. I believe that it is the remedy, the solution for my life right now personally, and then the future of humanity. But each person has to find something, right? You have to find something to believe in, something that is better than what we're being given right now, better than our current system. And you have to, make a stand and do something about it, right? You have to, you can't just go in and try the heartfulness system and believe right away. I mean, everything is, you should try things with an open mind, but something has to prove itself to you. If it's your religion, then your religion should prove itself to you. It should prove that it works. The system is efficient and effective, and it's working in your life right now. Whatever it might be for you personally, whatever you do to, you have to combat what's going on, the degradation. You're just going to be swept away if you're just hanging out there complaining and, you're not doing anything positive. You're just looking into the abyss, the Palantir, whatever it is, that orb from the Lord of the Rings. You're just staring into Sauron's eyes, right? And eventually, you see this with truthers who all they do is look at the negative, and they go to the dark side and they get like crazy. And, Alex Jones is an example of that, right? Even though he's also a shill. But people who stare into the darkness all the time end up being absorbed by the darkness. So you have to do something else. You have to figure out something else for yourself. Each person has to do this for your family, your kids, especially if they're young. And the internet is, there's good things about the internet. I love the internet to a certain extent, but there's so much evil on the internet. And so much of it, just the internet itself, sitting there staring at screens, it sucks your energy away and takes you to, an alternative universe, the cyber universe, where your soul and your spiritual essence is diminished. because your soul doesn't get emboldened and come to the surface because of the internet, right? Unless you're listening to something that is loaded with spiritual energy. But even then, it would be better to hear it in person and to have it in real life than to have it over the internet. The internet is a filter that degrades everything, brings it down to a lower vibration because of the Wi-Fi and its effect on your subtle bodies and all of these things. And so the weather's getting nice, and things are blooming or whatever it is. There's nature going on all around us, and who knows how long all of that's going to last, right? The beauty of this world. I mean, it's just a beautiful world. So many great things in this world out in nature and animal life and all these things. Spring is a wonderful time. It's a time of new beginnings. So being able to focus on something positive, because people just dwelling on stuff like Nas X's video. All right, great. He gave Satan a lap dance. Good for you. Your music sucks. You suck as a so-called artist. You have nothing else. All you can do is shock value stuff like Madam Expiration Date and Lady Gaga and Katy Perry, because you're not good at producing quality music. Your music doesn't stand by itself. You have to do these other things to sensationalize it, to provoke people, to make yourself relevant, because there's nothing inside of you. You have no value. You're just, a person that wants to feed off the energy of, the fans, the sheep, right? Suck the energy off the sheep because you have no energy yourself. You can't produce things. There's no creative force. You don't have anything to offer. So you just put things out to provoke a reaction, just a troll, right? Nas X is just another troll, right? I mean, all these trolls, like everyone out there now is some way a troll in one way or another, politicians, actors and actresses. I mean, all these celebrities, all these people. They're just trolling for energy. They're doing things, look at me, hey, everybody look at me, right? Because they're devoid, they're bankrupt, they have nothing inside themselves. Stop paying attention to them, right? All right, you see the thing, whatever, all right, yeah. The guy gave Satan a lap dance, and just move on. Like, just, like you can't do anything about it. You're powerless to stop it. And so, you see the way that things are going. The system is coming to an end. In any civilization, when the things that are happening now are happening, your society has gone past the point of no return. There's no redeeming your society. And that happened in the 80s. Like, it's not, it's well past, it's jumped the shark, it's played out, it's over. And so, it's about connecting to what's going to happen next. That's the whole idea of pockets of the future. Create a pocket of the future where you're starting to live now the way everyone's going to live in the future, connect to God on a deeper level, and start creating the future that's going to happen after the system completely collapses. Because there can be a positive future for everybody, but if the system collapses, then you need to start thinking about what happens next, right? If you're going to lose your job, then you start making plans of what's going to happen after you lose your job. If you have 6 months left on your job, then you start making plans on what's going to happen next. If you have 6 months to live, then you start connecting to God and, start helping your soul make the transition to where you're going next. So if the system's going to collapse, what are you going to do on the other side? What is everybody going to do when the system collapses? Run around grabbing their hair and screaming and, curling up in the fetal position and waiting to die? Or are you going to go and create something better? Learn from the mistakes. I mean, it's like, you're ending a relationship, you're going through a divorce, you start changing and preparing yourself to be in a better, healthier relationship after everything settles. It might take a year, it might take 2 years, it might take 5 years, but something better is there, right? And you've learned from the mistakes, you've learned from whatever situation you were in before, and you start creating something better. So when one thing ends, you have to start building something on the other side, and that's what pockets of the future means. The system is going to collapse. It should collapse. And so when that happens, what are you going to do? Well, if you've done nothing up to that point, right? I've told this story so many times. Third master of the heartfulness system used to tell it all the time, that there is this kingdom where they had a ruler for only 1 year. All their kings were corrupt. It was a decadent, deviant place. And so they would have someone be a king for a year. And all the kings, all the people who were, ordinary people were made kings. and they all indulged. They all just, all right, I'm going to enjoy myself for a year, enjoy all the privileges of being king. And at the end of the year, you were put on the other side of a river and you weren't allowed to come back to the city. You were banished forever. And so this one guy, instead of indulging, used all of his time to build himself a kingdom on the other side of the river. And then when he was, deposed and sent across the river, he was a king on the other side. And that's a reference, that's a metaphor for death, right? Where you build something now, you build your kingdom in heaven, you build your kingdom internally inside yourself while you're here, instead of indulging in your material life. And then when you die, your soul advances and jumps forward, makes leaps and bounds. I mean, it's what the heartfulness system's all about. Preparing for the spiritual, your life is short, it's finite, it's a blink of an eye compared to your eternal soul that lasts from the beginning of creation to the end of creation. And so instead of wasting your time here, emboldening your ego and indulging in all these things, I mean, enjoy yourself, sure, but it's not about like just that, right? There's a spiritual reason for being here. And also, using this metaphor, when the system collapses, build something on the other side of the collapse. And so as the system collapses, you're prepared and you have a plan B. Your family has a plan B. I mean, it's time. The writing's on the wall. That doesn't mean you quit your job and you run out into the woods, right? You just, the system's still going. You have to participate in the system to some extent, but you start spending some of your time and energy spiritually connecting to God, spending some of your time and energy learning skills and developing things that are going to be necessary on the other side, right? Because the system it's shown that it is completely devoid of anything positive. It's going in a negative direction. I mean, devoid of anything that's, healthy and wholesome and spiritual. It's just disintegrating around us, falling into the pit of immorality and depravity. And so, that's going to lead to its collapsing more than anything else. And in a sense, it's already collapsed. Too much debt, too much anger, too much hatred, too much mental illness and confusion. I mean, all the bad things are growing and all the good things are disappearing. And so, we have to redeem ourselves at some point when the system collapses, and we could all spend some time and energy preparing for that. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely reporting from the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.